Hey, scaling my speaking career had nothing to do with luck. It had everything to do with identity. That's kind of a nuance, but I promise it'll help you. The moment I became the version of me that could handle the scale, everything changed. You don't get something above who you are. I love the statement that goes, you cannot attain or sustain a life above your current identity. And so you can have the best systems, the clearest message, the sharpest, beautiful brand, but if your identity, internal, doesn't match your goals, you'll sabotage your own growth. Because truthfully, it's not what you know. It's who you are with what you know. It's the individual that's wielding the sword, not the sword itself, right? The speakers who scale, they're the ones who outgrow the version of themselves that plays small. So I love this statement I've heard also recently. It says, it is more difficult to build the person capable of making $1 million business than it is to build $1 million business. Like, it is harder to become a $1 million business owner than it is to build $1 million business, because the traits of your humanity that are required are the hardest to develop. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the mental model, I call it, and the dark work process that helped me shift into the version of me who could handle a 7-figure speaking business and beyond. Because without these traits as my humanity, I'd fall short. I'd have all the information, like you might have all the information. You watch these videos, you go to trainings, you read the books, you do all the things, right? But the problem is, even with all those things at your disposal, you don't have more success, more money, more impact, more notoriety. And it's not because you're not capable of it. You haven't built the identity to make that a feasible reality for you. So we're going to cover these points. The first point is scaling starts with identity, not just strategy, right? There are a lot of people that go and they have courses they get taken, right? I speak at events all the time. What I've come to find is the events that I go speak at, they're teaching stuff. They're always teaching nuance and strategy and AI and all these great things. What you find in that room, maybe 1% will be successful. Why? If it's the exact same place, the exact same information, exact same slides, everything's the same, why are they more successful? You might say, well, they already have a leg up. They've already got a good network. Well, how do you think that took place? You think that they woke up and came out of their mom's womb like that? No, they actually at some point in time had to learn these things, had to be invested in some aspect. Oh, well, they came from a better family. And I know people that come from great families that are druggies and they're broke and they're not doing well. Doesn't mean that that's the edge on everybody, right? Maybe statistically it's a positive, but it's not what it is. What it is the information is being tied to someone who can do the right thing with it. That's the big key. Strategy only works when your self-image supports the strategy. If the strategy for you in your speaking business is to create content and film videos, but you are deathly afraid of filming content and recording yourself, well, it'd be pretty hard to be great on camera, right? The idea is you can't build $1 million speaking business with $1,000 identity. You must have $1 million identity. The first scale, it happens internally before it happens financially. Can you actually be a good steward with what you do have and make risky decisions, which aren't even risky, but they're calculated and scary? Not risky, but they're scary decisions. And can you actually reshape how you see something as an opportunity or non-opportunity? See, most people don't realize that's the critical piece. It's always a matter of who you are, because there are some people we all know who are borderline idiots but are very successful. Why is that, right? Because the person behind the scenes, the way they take action, the way they execute on things, they are destined to be successful because they're doing more than the person who knows all the stuff but is not acting upon it. That's the critical separator. Now, point 2, what I call the dark work phase. See, you have to build in the dark before you can shine in the light. When we talk about this identity thing, you don't build an identity in the shine, in the lights, in the limelight. An identity is seen in the shine, in the lights, in the limelight, but it was built in the dark. Right? It's about building in the dark before you can shine, because truthfully, we're just seeing, like they say, athletes, you watch them, right? No, you see a champion now, but you didn't see the champion prepare. See, winners win on game day, but winners are winners at their core in preparation so that they can win on game day. The unseen work creates the seen success. So before big stages came discipline, sacrifice, preparation that nobody saw. Dark work is doing the hard, uncelebrated things that build confidence and competence. Like I sit here now and I'm recording a video for you. I remember when I first started doing these videos. Like, if you look at some of the old stuff I got, it is bad. Like, it's embarrassing. I used to have these weird wrinkled sheets in the background. Like, I was like, no one's going to notice. They noticed, right? And the truth is, all of us start somewhere ugly, but you have to do that work. You have to have that story. I don't know a successful person doesn't have a rigid, gritty story of hardship. So why do you think you can bypass it? And why are you avoiding experiencing that on the path to where you want to go? If you avoid that, then you're not going to have what you need to not only just achieve that, but also sustain that when you do accomplish it. Those that don't do the actual work, you don't get the genuine outcome. Like, I think back to my years when I played sports. I played professional football, I played college football, obviously, and high school ball. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the smartest. I wasn't the strongest on my team by any stretch of the imagination. I wasn't even the most experienced. In fact, when I was in high school, I was the one who had only had a year under my belt of playing when I had guys that were my teammates that had been playing for 5-6 years. Like, it was in their blood, right? And I'm over here trying to figure this whole thing out. But I realized that they didn't do the same things that were required behind the scenes. Like, I noticed that most guys would just go and they just do their, practice and they'd be done. But I realized, well, if I do the practice that they do and I got to catch up to where they're at, I have to catch up to the work that they haven't, that they have done that I haven't done. I had to go back and go, well, where do I got to learn to, practice catching a football? If they've got years of reps catching a football, how do I get those years of reps? Well, I got to allocate the time separate from the time we're doing things together. So I started doing these things behind the scenes in the dark that were the game changers for me, I'd come to find. What it was is I was doing the things that nobody was doing, so I was getting the results that nobody was getting. I did eventually get faster. I did eventually get stronger. I did eventually get better at catching a football and doing the things I need to do to be a great athlete. And this is what the separator was for me. I had got to a point where I now developed these skills that no one had been developing in their own stance, and so I outpaced them before they even knew it. But that wasn't the kicker. See, one of the most important pieces happens to be how I felt about myself when it got done. I had this thing called investment bias. We've all got investment bias. When you've invested energy, time, something into something, the return on the investment isn't just the outcome that you're looking to achieve. Oftentimes, it's a sense of self, who you see yourself to be now. That person that you developed in the dark is gritty and they're dialed and they want a return on the investment that they made. The return is, I am not going to settle for less than I deserve. I've earned this already. I'm not about to let all my work be for nothing. Which leads me to point number 3. Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video right now. Now, I want to let you know that I developed a speaker quiz that reveals what your speaker type is, the strength of your type, and more importantly, how to capitalize on that type to build an impactful and income-producing speaking business. To get this quiz and take it and get the information you need, simply hit the link you see below in the description, or you can wait till the end of the video to head over and check it out. All right, that's it. Let's get back to it. Point number 3, you must adopt and develop a dominator identity. Now, we're talking about this idea of like, I had this gritty guy in me. Well, what do you call that gritty guy? What do you call that gritty identity? I call it a dominator. Now, by dominator, I'm not saying this person dominates everybody around them and they're just this overbearing, just hard-charging person. Dominator means to govern and exert control. A dominator is disciplined. They are consistent. They are structured. They are communicative. They are able to, listen to this, dominate the weaker, complaining version of their identity. What I call a submitter. The one who submits to hardship, submits to the weakness, submits to excuses, submits to complaining, submits to the pity partying of the world around them. These people, they are the ones that submit and therefore they don't get to accomplish. Whereas the dominator overcomes. They develop this sense of self that goes, look, I'm not going to hope. I'm deciding what I want. I'm going to pursue this with my actions. I'm not going to submit to excuses, submit to weakness within me. I'm going to dominate my weaker identity in the moments when it shows up and wants to hold me back. And so what happens, you shift into this dominator identity by doing a few different things. Taking action is a big piece. It's strategic in how you do things. But when you do this, a dominator means you have no more self-doubt. We're not at the same level that slows you down. There's no more waiting for permission to someone to push you forward. There's no more small thinking. You step into a whole world of thinking bigger than you might have ever thought before. But what happens is things change around you. You become this version of you who expects to win. This expectant person, they actually have the best chance of winning. Not only because they may have developed some skills, but they have a grit that won't let them quit. Like, think about it. There's a statement, I love a lot of statements if you haven't noticed about me. I got a lot in my head, but it is impossible to beat the person who never quits. If it's a battle of attrition, wills, who's going to win? It will be the person who did more work. The person who did more work in preparation is not going to settle for anything less than the win. That's why if you are playing around with boxing, you probably don't want to get into a ring with a boxer. They identify as that thing. If they identify with that, they will function in a way to make that thing right. If I go, I'm a boxer, I am better than this Tom that decided to hop in the ring today, I will go to the ends of the earth to make sure Tom doesn't beat me. And I've spent time, I've prepared, I've lifted, I've ran, I've worked on my cardio, I've been hitting the bag. Tom don't get to step in here and do anything. I don't care what Tom is prepared, how tough Tom thinks he is. There will be a moment in time when it's a battle of wills. And if this person hasn't done what I've done, they will not have the will to win. Now, yeah, I'm talking about boxing, but you got a business, you have a job, do you have a marriage, do you have a family, do you have hobbies? Like, what are the things you have committed yourself to that when you think about it, because you've committed to the energy of doing that, there's no way on God's green earth you're about to step back and go, yeah, I'm not going to get that return. No, you're going to push and fight till you do. This is why I love point number 4, which is identity alignment. It drives action. See, when you have developed a sense of who you are and you've created this path of habits and patterns and actions, you have now this personal alignment. Now, this alignment's interesting because in alignment, we have human pieces to us, like psychologically, where we will fight tooth and nail to stay in alignment with who we see ourselves to be. And no matter what comes along the pathway, if something steps into the realm of me and it stands to pull away from my alignment of who I am, I will go to the ends of the earth again to make sure I stay dialed into who I am. And I'll speak words. I'll speak words out loud that say who I am, and I will live my life in a way tooth and nail to embody that with my actions every day. So when I say, I'm a football player, there's a certain sense of identity there. My alignment creates actions, and the actions create my life. If I say that, my actions are going to be, I'm going to lift weights, I'm going to run routes, I'm going to watch film. If I go, I'm a great dad, I'm going to do things that great dads do. I'm going to sacrifice in ways that great dads should because I want to be in alignment with that identity I've chosen. So once you start building the actions in that direction, at first, it doesn't feel like you, but eventually it feels so much like you can't imagine doing anything else. You are locked into this way you function, the way you do things, a personal standard that does not change or adjust or shift. And when that becomes the role for things, well, now you'll find that success becomes kind of second nature. You do these things almost without even thinking about it, and the outcome you desire comes to fruition. And so for me, I'm always trying to tell people it's not really just about trying to get an accomplishment, but to rewire yourself so you have this alignment piece with who you are, because that alignment will drive the actions in the direction you want. So it's got to be tied to consistency, because when your identity matches your ambition, consistency becomes automatic. If who you are is like, I film a video every single day, I film a video every day now. It's who I am. It's my core. I'm at 1,300 videos of a weekly podcast, a weekday podcast. There's no skipping. It's who I am in my core. It becomes automatic. The consistency is wrote into my soul. So I don't have the ability to not do it because I wouldn't be who I am. So you have to stop negotiating with your goals and start operating as the person who's already achieved them. The mental alignment, it makes scaling simple. Not easy, but simple. It's going to be hard. There's going to be work to be done. I can't take that off the table. In fact, the work is what's required to make your identity what you see it as today. Without that identity and that work having done, you won't even see yourself on that level, right? So you have to make sure that's part of it. Now, 5, when you've got this done, you can emerge into the world with confidence and clarity. Now, when I say emerge, I mean, when I talk about dark work as a process, you tuck into a window of time. 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you'll tuck into a space where your focus is purely on getting these tasks done. Not ideating, chasing shiny objects, but this is what I've committed to doing for a period of time. And you go. And as you go in this process and you lean into things, what happens is you start to develop a different way of doing things. You have confidence because you've had proof of what you have confidence in. Clarity has come in because you've done things, got feedback from life. There's now clarity. See, after dark work comes light, momentum, opportunity, visibility comes into play. But those who don't do the dark work, they don't get to see the light the same way. They may taste it, touch it briefly. They don't get to have a meal of it. You don't get to actually embody success. You watch somebody else who did the work embody it. And if someone did accidentally get there, they don't stay there too long. There's no accident for long-term success. It's because someone's developed a sense of identity to attain that thing, and who they are maintains their habits, their patterns, their structure, their paradigms, decision-making. They maintain it, and they get to sustain this part of their life. See, at the end of the day, you've earned the right to scale because you've built the identity that you can use to sustain it. That's how you earn the right to scale your business. And true scaling isn't just business growth. It's becoming unrecognizable to yourself. So you step back and go, I understand clearly why I have the success that I have in my life. So for you as a human, you do not rise to your strategy. You rise to your identity, or you fall to your current identity. If you're ready to do the dark work to become the speaker who scales with ease, I want you to go to speaktofreedom.com. You'll find out all the things we do that'll help change the game for how you function. So let's build the identity for yourself that makes your business completely unstoppable. And if you are not interested, you just liked what I had to say, tune in because I got a lot more to say, and watch the next video coming up.